Well, that's an interesting question. I would say that that command to heal the sick and raise the dead was given expressly to those 12. And I'll note that there are people claiming to raise the dead, not very convincingly today. I believe, of course, that God can heal. We should anoint the sick when they are sick and pray for their healing. But I think we must recognize that Paul, in the latter part of his ministry, in Timothy, the last books that Paul wrote, you will find a very much less great influence on prophesying and signs and wonders. And I will add this: you cannot have the degree of miraculous power unless you're an apostle. The apostles are completely unique. You cannot be an apostle today. The apostles have the accrediting signs and wonders. And so I would hesitate to say that anybody can just claim to go out and preach the gospel and raise the dead. I don't think it's happening. The proof would be in the actual event. People are not raising the dead these days, but certainly God will heal within the limits of the dispensation in which we're living. And we're not living, I would argue, in apostolic days. And therefore, particularly the tongues were a sign, especially to mark that transition into the new time that we're living now. In other words, God allowed special, miraculous confirmation of the new thing in Jesus, but he doesn't have to go on confirming that forever. So I would say yes and no, rather ambiguously, to this question. If you can raise the dead, go for it. I don't think you can. But does God still heal? Yes, that's why we pray for the healing of people. But do not expect to work at an apostolic level of miracle, I would say, because you cannot be an apostle today in that sense.
In Mark's version of the Great Commission, which you would agree is for us today.
Yes.
In his version, in Mark 16, it says, "Go into all the world, preach the gospel to every creature. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved. Whoever does not believe will be condemned.
Yep.
These signs will accompany those who believe," and then there are those signs. So, okay, so you're saying in Matthew 10, it's for the Jews only, the 12. But here, how would you explain this passage?
Well, first of all, as you know, this passage is not in every manuscript, so I wouldn't rely totally on it. And it doesn't say that all these signs will be evident until the end of the age, because if that was so, you would have to have apostolic people around to do these. I'm making a very clear distinction that apostles who cannot be reproduced today have distinct extra powers that you and I don't have. So yes, there was some of that going on. You know, Paul had a miraculous experience with a snake that fell off his hand and so on. We know all that. But he doesn't make a blanket statement that every Christian has that sort of apostolic power. I don't think we can go out in faith hoping that we can speak foreign languages. They tried that. We cannot go out in faith hoping we're going to raise the dead. I don't think so. If God chooses to do that through you, that's fine. But it's very rash, I would argue, to claim to be at the apostolic level of gifts.